looks about right. Sorry, you always have to see my head right up close, don't you? Anyway, hello, this is One Black British Woman's Voice, and today I want to talk about how even the most mediocre of white people fraudulently believe that they are superior to black people. Brace yourself, anecdotal story coming up. Now, my friends and I would take turns to organise social events, and when it was my turn, I'd often arrange to meet up at a pizza restaurant in Charing Cross. No, I'm not going to say its name. Normally, the service was superb there. The white staff had an energy and a charisma that supplemented the professionalism of their service well. But on the last occasion, the very last occasion that I used that venue, the restaurant gave me a white waitress who, from the moment she eventually walked up to our table and bestowed us our menus, exuded a somewhat hostile and dismissive attitude. I tried to give the waitress the benefit of the doubt, but as I monitored her conduct with other patrons, it became clear that she had a completely different attitude, body language and approach with the other sitting customers in comparison to us. My friends and I scanned our menus and chatted amiably amongst ourselves, with the faint expectation that she would ordain to eventually come back to our table. But when she would walk inches past our table for the sixth time and we tried to catch her attention, she lifted up the palm of her hand and barked, "I'm serving someone else." I then watched her spend about a further 15 minutes serving different customers that had either come after us or reserving her old customers that had come before us. As the clock ticked, my more resilient friends asked circumspectly, "Do you think that this is a race thing with her?" And as I observed the waitress's contrasted demeanour with her other customers compared to her treatment of us, I concluded that it was. After what must have been the evolution of an entire new species, she finally ordained to waft up to our table. And with her notepad and pen levied at our faces like a gun, she barked, "What is it you want to eat?" Angry waitress. After which she pursed her lips with such vigour it left her mouth looking like a clenched asshole. But then again, they do inject fat from their arsehole into their mouth or lips, so yeah. Anyway, when I sought clarification on the food items listed on the menu that she had flipped at us 20 minutes earlier, she would glare into my eyes and hostilely refrain from answering me until enough time had passed between my question and her answer as to cause her to think that she had proved to be some sort of dominant in this customer-waitress standoff. I would have put her in her servant place sooner, but here's the kicker. She was 6 months heavily pregnant. Now, you can't get much more pathetic than ending up being a heavily pregnant, racist white waitress. So initially, and even whilst I watched her with her protruding belly serving other people with a far better quality service than us, I gave her the sympathy her unfortunate and frankly degrading circumstances deserved. But when she tried the dominant stare and long silence combo with me, I resolved to treat her like the second-hand condom she really was. When she finally answered my normal question about one of the food items, I looked her up and down and held a long silence of my own. It was on. No, I wasn't worried about what she would do to the food because the food was cooked adjacent to us, so we could see it being cooked. And as she loped around the restaurant like a human marble, I'd catch her sight and stare at her mean girly. Nasty waitress. To reward her for her behaviour, as a parting gift when we left the restaurant, we left her a £1 tip with a picture of the baby's rattle and a smiley face drawn onto the napkin. I hope that contributed to Nappy's Waitress of the Year. And this is the moral of this story, unless some of you haven't guessed it already, that even the most mediocre of white people believe in their mediocre minds that they are superior to black people. Now, I could go into great length about the delusions of their fictional achievements and how they're not, but that'll be another vlog. Stay tuned, white people. I'll be doing a vlog on everything that you think you know about yourselves and that it's a lie, and that black people we've caught on. It's called wonderful education. But the focus of this vlog right now is how even the most poorest, most illiterate, most unqualified, most failed, most ill-made of white people have a misplaced yet deeply rooted belief that they are superior to everyone else. How very healthy. I mean, just look at the demography of Trump's most ardent supporters and the EDL's most fanatic apes. Yes, I know whites of every stratification are racist, not just the bottom feeders that gobble from the mediocre trough, but it's the mediocre ones that today I've set my laser gun to stun for. Pow, 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 pow. So why is it that a mediocre white person would have such a healthy superiority complex? Well, firstly, let's look at what the term superiority complex means. Wikipedia. The term superiority complex means an attitude of superiority which conceals actual feelings of inferiority and failure. This makes sense in that statistics show whites are the highest recipients of benefits in the UK, the highest perpetrators of depraved crimes, depraved sexual crimes especially. And history shows them to be a race that has contributed to the least to the advancement of mankind. You split the atom and then you bombed all those Japanese? But absurdly, through propaganda and gaslighting, they've convinced present-day people that whites are the creators of African architecture, such as the 1,000-year-old Great Walls and Palaces of Zimbabwe, and even the older pyramids. They have no real culture, so they pass off jazz, rock and roll and hip hop as their own. Worse still, these people actually brag using science about sharing their genes and ancestry with animals. Now, couple all these failures and mental deceptions with the aggressive propaganda machine they call systemized education and the cunning they employ in using the film industry and media to promote the lie that they are saviors and intellects. And what you're left with is a mediocre white person that conscientiously knows that they're a failure, but outwardly will adopt the body language and attitude of someone who purports to be superior in order to bolster themselves, if you like. It's like a psychological trick. Moving on to other deeper reasons as to why mediocre white people possess such illusions of grandeur, present-day mediocre white people also excel in the notion of collateral excess, a sort of success that they haven't contributed to but share because of default of skin colour. For example, mediocre whites are champions at tacking to themselves the badges of achievements produced by their white betters and delusionally correlate that the achievements achieved by their white betters are also the achievements by default, also their achievement by default of sharing the same skin colour. Mediocre whites basically coast on the achievements of their conquering ancestors and sagging white supremacy, which their more successful ruling white counterparts have managed to wrangle and maintain, then thus summarise in their mediocre minds that this is evidence that they too, as mediocre as they are superior to non-whites. Basically, even though this white waitress had no hand in invading other countries and ruling over them, even though neither this waitress or Trump supporters or alt-right knuckle draggers had any hand exploiting the medical knowledge of the African, Asian and the Aztec and bringing it back to Dark Age Britain, that's why you have cinnamon, Google it. Even though they had no hand in their more successful white counterparts' accumulation of wealth or savage stealing of other people's lands, even though neither this waitress or any of her mediocre kind have ever been placed under the beam of any limelight or graced the pages of any success stories, that still they, the mediocre person that they are, believe that they still vicariously are successful or superior by default of skin colour. That they are mediocre, that they as a mediocre white person should be viewed through a god-like lens because of the achievements and debauched successes of their white superiors, even though this white waitress had achieved nothing. Rock up to any white person in an office or a menial job or living in poverty and ask them to break down the molecular structure of an atom or explain a mathematical formula, and they couldn't do it. Ask a mediocre white manager if they achieved their position through hard work or white skin, and they'll say hard work. Ask a mediocre white person for their name to see if they have a Wikipedia entry, but naturally they won't be one. However, in their mediocre minds, because other white people such as Einstein are famous for their equations, they'll believe in their mediocre minds that they are superior to non-white people because by accident of birth they possess the same skin colour as Einstein. Are you with me? The same skin colour of their ancestral invaders such as Cecil Rhodes, the same skin colour as the white male who observed the Aboriginal boomerang and its aerodynamics, then went back to Britain and based on the age-old boomerang was finally able to move white people up to the level of the Aborigine by getting something to stay up in the damn air. Yes, you can thank the Aborigines for the airplane. How ludicrous, how mentally ill that deception is. So to summarize, mediocre white people with their superiority complexes are nothing but failed people who try to master insecurities with the delusion of superiority complex. In a nutshell, mediocre racist whites are nothing more than primates with a healthy ego. And I say enjoy that ego as you languish in poverty, as you stumble and fall at even basic education, as you serve customers as a waitress while 6 months pregnant. It's the only false comfort your mediocre lives and minds will ever have to attain. This is One Black British Woman's Voice, and I'm out.